It's Big Board Sports with Roger Wyland on 104.5 The Team.
Yankees get a big win last night, 7-5 over Seattle. Giancarlo Stanton hits the 0-2 pitch with 2 outs off Ryan Cook, and I guess the signature hit that Giancarlo Stanton has been looking for, at least in the Bronx. And if you're big into signature hits, that would be one of them for sure, and a win that puts the Yankees 2 up on the Boston Red Sox. We are joined by Jessica Mendoza, ESPN baseball and softball analyst here on Big Board Sports, 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. Jessica, Roger Wyland, Chris Honorado, good morning.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
Jessica.
We're good. We'll start Yankees, and I know I want to get to your book that is out on. It was released on Tuesday. There's no base like home, but this is home of the Yankees on 104.5 The Team. So let's start there. This team, Jessica, like a machine, right? They're down 5-0 last night. You think maybe it's going to be a night ho-hum, not going to get it done and lose, and here they are, 5-0 down, winning 7-5 on the walk-off.
Well, you just look at the versatility of that lineup and just like the studs that are in it. Yeah, they're going to have their ups and downs, but at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. You look at the season of Stanton and how, gosh, what was it, like 6-7 weeks ago, we're talking about why can this guy even hit? Like, what's going on? Like all of the, the ideas, but then he has that ability to be able to come in, have the big hit. You think about Gary Sanchez, what he's really been hitting. I think he's still around 200 with his average, but you know that that's not him. So that's what's scary about this Yankees team is I don't even think they're clicking on everything yet, but they're so dang good. And I'll tell you what, working with Aaron Boone for the last 3 years, and then, we just had the Yankees a couple weeks ago, sitting down, having dinner with him and just talking about, like, and seriously, this is the team you get? Really? Your first time managing? Like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, who couldn't do a good job managing this Yankee team was as loaded as they are with talent up and down the roster. Was that... Are you big into signature hits? I mean, look, Stanton has been booed a lot at Yankee Stadium, and I think he's getting a little irritated by, the boos and then the reporters and the New York media and all of that, especially when he's home. On the road, he puts up much better numbers. So how big of a home run was that last night for him and to get it at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like to downplay a lot of that, like, that it's not needed, that obviously, like, especially being in New York or Boston, there's just going to be so many eyeballs and, it's just so much, whether it's negativity, positivity, attention to how you're doing, especially with all the freaking hype that came in with Stanton, and then judge the two of them, what they could possibly do. And so when it wasn't living up to that hype, for him to have that moment that kind of every Yankee fan was thinking there'd be these moments happening every week, I do think it is important, though, for him. And the reason is he comes over from Miami. He says all the right things that, that he's going to be able to handle the media, that he's going to, be able to take the criticism. I really believe, unless you're just not human, that these last few months have probably been the hardest of his baseball career. And just being able to handle, just a different stage, a different place, attention, not playing the position that you've always played, just being moved around, not being the dude. Regardless of what you say or who you are, this had to feel really good to be like, look, I deserve to be here and I will help this team.
One of the voices of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, Jessica Mendoza, with us here on Big Board Sports on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. Her new book, her first book, There's No Base Like Home, was released this week. Jessica, the Yankees, as you know, are constantly under a microscope, and much of the discussions we have here on this show is, okay, what is the move they need to make? And a lot of times we kind of gloss over this ridiculous record they have and say they need to add a starting pitcher or they need to add a bullpen piece in order to win a World Series. Do you believe they're still one move away, or are they a team that could stand pat and still win it all?
I mean, you'd like to think they could, but I think they're a move away. I mean, they're good, yes. Don't get me wrong, but October's a different beast, and we've seen it. And I think it's the starting pitching by far. I mean, I think, we could sit here and nitpick every little thing and find maybe another bullpen piece, but I love the way that their bullpen is set up right now. Plus, you think about October and how you get some of these guys, like maybe a Sonny Gray that goes to the bullpen in 5-game series, and how their starting pitching would be utilized. But to me, with just, you got Severino at the top, you got Tanaka, you're never, with injury, you never know with him. Sonny Gray's starting to come around now, but, we've seen him kind of show the differences. And I think once Jordan Montgomery went down, to me, this is a team that if you want perfect, and I hate saying that, but they are a move away from being, absolutely clearly the best team in baseball. Right now, I don't think they're the best team in baseball. I think they're right there. I think it's them, the Red Sox, the Astros. But I really believe, and that's why I love this series even with the Mariners, because the Mariners are in that mix with how they've been fighting with the AL West. But to me, they need another starting pitcher to be able to be that team that's like, okay, they're the Yankees again.
Jessica Mendoza with us, ESPN baseball and softball. And let's get to the book here. There's No Base Like Home. Tell us a little bit about that, written along with your sister Elena, a book for kids ages 8 through 12, because I don't know how you do it with the home and the kids and the husband and going on the road and being prepared to do your games. I mean, it sounds like your plate's really full here.
Yeah, but that's all I've ever known. I mean, honestly, growing up, just even playing a lot of sports as a kid, we were always traveling, always, on the road. I grew up with a baseball coach as a dad, a college baseball coach. So, I mean, I was always in a bus or, to me, I love it. My kids come with me a lot, too, especially now that it's summer. They'll be at Yankee Stadium. You'll see them running around Wrigley. I mean, I got 2 boys, so I think that helps. The fact that this book, the only reason, to be honest, it got finished, my biggest thing, because it's a fiction about a young girl kind of growing up, dealing with a lot of middle school to high school issues. But my biggest thing was messaging. I just feel like there's so much out there being thrown at young girls that isn't right. That is, you need to look like this, you need to act like this, this is the figure that you need to have, this is how you should eat, and this is the makeup you should wear and how you should talk and be. To me, it's gosh, for these girls to be able to own who they are. And the main character is Sofia Garcia, and it's her and her sister, basically. So it was really cool to write this with my sister about a fictional character, but really ultimately there's a ton of my family that came into it. And it's just, to me, important for young girls to read books and have positive role models out there that aren't giving them the wrong messages.
Roger, you have a 14-year-old daughter. I have an 8-year-old niece who plays softball. The message is great. Jessica, I'm curious, who was your greatest influence, or who was the person who continued to push you? Because you've broken down barriers. You're a trailblazer of your own, breaking into the baseball broadcasting world.
There's been a bunch along the way. I mean, it started with my father and my mom too, but my dad being a coach and just being around him. I mean, there were guys staying in our house. He coached at a junior college, so he'd get a lot of rough kids, and they would stay at our house a lot. He'd bail them out from jail. They'd come live with us. My dad, and even when we'd spend a lot of time in Mexico, where his family's from, and there was just a lot that I grew up with that was think outside the box. You get these tattooed guys that look like, you know what, they're making wrong decisions. Let's forget about them. My dad always saw, no, we can help them. We can make them better. You just need to love on them and give them that right messaging. And so they'd stay with us. They'd be, and I got to see that from a young age. Then, college, I was introduced to Billie Jean King. That changed me in a lot of ways because she continues even now to push me. And that's somebody, she's a big name. She's done a lot on the tennis court, obviously off the tennis court. But she continues to drive people to make a difference. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say she's on me. She'll be, what are you doing to help more people? And she walks that. She lives that. She's done it for, 4 or 5 decades. So that's been another huge influence. Then you get Julie Foudy, who, women's soccer player, who's now crossed into men's soccer. She's done the World Cup. From a broadcasting standpoint, she helped open my eyes. Doris Burke works NBA, is one of the best NBA analysts. So from a broadcasting standpoint, both of them kind of showed me, only because they did it well. It wasn't oh, look, it's a woman doing it. It was no, she sounds good, and ultimately that's why she's staying, not because it's, oh, this is fun and some kind of newsworthy thing.
Jessica, when and how did you break into this broadcasting business and your ascent to where you are at right now with ESPN?
Well, it's funny. It started so I was at a World Cup game. We just played China, and ESPN was interviewing me, and I was just pumped. It was, I think, leading in, I think it was right after the 2004 Olympics. And we had played in this World Cup, was getting interviewed, and I'm like, basically grabbing the mic, just passionate, talking about beating China in this win, So one of the producers approached me and was like, would you ever want to be involved in television? You have a huge energy about you. Like, you're really into it. And I kind of laughed because I thought, God, the idea of a non-filtered mic in front of me, like, I'd be fired first day. Like, there's no way. Which I'm sure we've all had those moments where we've been close anyway. But then I was like, you know what, let me try it. And I graduated from Stanford with literally internship, master's degree to get into politics. I wanted to be a senator. I had an internship in D.C. I had no broadcasting interest at all. But, like, the way that I've lived my life, the way that my father raised me was like, you know what, never close the door, always take an opportunity, especially if it makes you nervous. The idea of me, like, trying to be on TV made me really nervous, which meant, okay, I got to try this. So that was 12 years ago. I started in softball, crossed into some football just as a reporter. It was really when I got into baseball. I started doing the College World Series, which is going right now in Omaha. It brings back so many memories because it was there that I kind of came in the side door because I was a sideline reporter. But really, ultimately, the producers there were like, Jess, you should just be an analyst. Like, I was obsessed with the hitting aspect. I was talking to the coaches. I didn't want to do the story about the puppies. I didn't want to, I wanted to break down this dude's swing. Like, can we talk about this? And we had Oral Hershiser in the booth who was pitching, which was awesome. But I'm like, we need to get some hitting in here. So I was able to kind of be an analyst from the sideline. Then they put me in the booth for the first time in 2015. That changed everything. And then MLB tried it that same year. Curt Schilling did a couple things, so that allowed me to get in there with Major League Baseball. And from there, that was 3 years ago, and it's been a really cool ride.
And how is it working with the team that you work with on Sunday night? You're sitting right next to A-Rod, huh?
Yeah, so we've got A-Rod, Matt Veskursion, who's also new to ESPN. It's funny because you come into the season, you're a little nervous. I've been with Dan Schulman, who, was the voice of Sunday Night Baseball for what I knew of it, and then Aaron Boone, who's like a brother to me. And so both of them leave, and I'm like, all right, guys. And then you've got this personality and figure in A-Rod who, you don't know what you're going to get. But I'll tell you what, he's been so invested. He comes in early every weekend. He's there Saturday for BP to ask questions, learn. And anyone who's been around him knows his baseball IQ is through the roof. And so I think getting him to a point where now he's comfortable to be able to kind of let people a little bit behind the curtain. And they want to know, like, what are you thinking on a 3-2 pitch right now? What's he going to throw? And he's got so much insight with that.
Do you and Alex have arguments about what's a more difficult pitch to hit, like a 70-mile-per-hour rise ball or a 92-mile-per-hour slider?
I feel like our arguments right now are in the analytics, which is kind of a battle for a lot of people, which kind of makes this game fun because we're seeing it change. Like the last 5 years, whether it's bullpen usage, whether it's, launch angle with hitters, he is very much old school, and it's so my dad in a lot of ways and how, like, I was initially taught, but I'm very much like, I like the numbers. I don't love them. I don't love them for everything. So him and I will battle, and it's actually fun because we'll come into a meeting and he'll be like, Jess, I got some numbers on this guy that we're, whether it's Daniel Murphy, whoever we're talking about. He's like, you know what? He actually hits the ball on the ground more than you think. Like, he needs to hit ground balls. And so we'll battle it out, like ground ball, line drive, all of that. And it makes it fun because I think he represents a huge part of the population still that believes that hitting and the game should be a certain way.
Interesting.
All good. Hey, good luck with the book. I got a 14-year-old daughter who graduates from middle school tonight, off to the high school next year.
Get her the book.
Yeah. She had a birthday party last week, and I took like 6 girls to an arena football game, and they had an absolute ball. They all knew the rap
You're
songs.
You're a cool dad.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute, Jessica.
Well, yeah.
Arena football game?
Yeah.
I would have been all in on that.
Yeah, she's not a big football fan, but they have so much fun at these arena games. And then, they play all this music, Jess, in between, the touchdowns and really every play. And I'm looking at her, and she's actually knows the words to all these rap songs. I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if that's good or bad, but whatever. They had a lot of fun, but this would be right for her, this book that you have out right now.
Well, and good luck because you are in the thick of it, buddy.
Uh-oh.
14 years old. You know it already, but I'm telling you what, the reason I wrote this book is because that age, it is not easy. And it's not easy for my dad. My dad and I would battle at that age, but I'll tell you what, like, just to be able to get her to, like, grab a hold of who she is and not the influences around her. Like, I'm going to start preaching. But I literally am so passionate about young girls of really being able to figure out who they are and stop getting peer pressured to be someone they're not. So you're in the thick of it right now, but I love it.
Yeah, and that was released on Tuesday, right? So it's out there right now.
Yep, you can get on Amazon, any local bookseller. The publisher is Lee & Low, and their website is leeandlow.com. So you can go there and check it out.
Jessica Mendoza, keep up the great work.
So
we really appreciate a few minutes here in Albany.
You got it. I'm excited to watch your Yankees. And you know what? We'll have your Mets here, too. So I don't know how much you guys are Mets as well, but I think the Yankees are going to be so much fun.
We are, but it's a little different topic when we bring up the Mets around here, that's for sure. Thanks, Jessica.
You guys take care.
Thank you, too.
Bye.